Debate live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by, click OK, Essential Goat, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So welcome one and all.
I want to go all the way east.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We may have a video to cover today. We've got a video that Brian's Logic has suggested we cover, but I'm more inclined to wait until he comes because I like to have a little preamble if someone suggested specifically what to cover on a given day, and in this case that falls on Brian, so we'll wait till he does arrive, which I'm sure he typically does about halfway through the show. So when Brian gets here, we'll cover that video, and I'll do a call to action. In the meantime, I went and had a quick look at yesterday's videographer that we covered and noticed that a whole bunch of people from the live audience had gone along and said, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And Mighty Mush then pointed out that on previous videos, lots of the audience have actually done as I've requested. I shouldn't be shocked. You know, it's like, go and do this. Yeah, and then people go and do it. Yeah, I shouldn't be shocked, but it's nice to see it actually occurring. And yesterday's videographer did come along and leave a little message. You have to excuse if I've got a shaky voice. It's really cold here. I've got the window open. So there we go. I do like to smoke while I'm making these shows. Anyway, I'd rather suffer the cold. He did come back and leave a little comment saying, ha, 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 ha. That was his rebuttal. Ben Farr, I think his name was, from yesterday. Smug bastard. So there we go. That was his response. But it's good. It's good that people are actually hopefully listening to the critique that we leave. And if their rebuttal is to just laugh, fair enough. That's what you've got as a rebuttal. Good for you. That's as good as a hand wave as far as I'm concerned.
So we're a joke to them?
No. When you've got nothing, you laugh. It's like them sniggering when we pin them against the wall and they start sniggering, Neil. You'll see it in
that type of laugh. I got you.
You'll see it in the video I'm about to release, right? So I don't know if I've actually uploaded it to the members yet. I think I did put it on TikTok, but not to the members. In any event, in the next couple of hours, I'll upload a video for members, and it's much, much longer than I first anticipated. I did actually already trim out a couple of minutes from it because I thought it was priceless, this guy telling me how the globe can be measured flat. So I did hack out a little bit of it. But it was actually considerably longer than I remembered. It was like 45 minutes long. And even with me editing out a little bit of it, it still ended up being like 42 minutes long. So there we go. That particular video, minus a phone call while I'm waiting for him to finish talking to somebody on the phone, is going to get published in the next, I don't know, 24 hours at the worst. But in that video, he's smirking and chanting straight through the middle of my responses to something that I've had 6 times from him. I mean, it does descend into your typical flat Earth debate scenario, which is the first time it's happened in that way on OME TV. And yeah, it's very interesting to see. Now, both of us are on camera, so you can very much see my annoyance as I'm saying or attempting to say the same thing for the 6th, 7th, 8th time, with him chanting and smirking and chuckling as he rambles through the top of what I'm saying, repeating what I'm responding to, which is fairly typical fundy zealot behaviour. So that is what I see someone like Ben as doing when they come and just say, ha, 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 ha. And no, what you're doing is giggling at the embarrassing fact you have no response. There is nothing to respond with. Earth is measured flat. For your fundy sphere belief, if you are on the globe side, we'll be pointing it out forever, because that's fact. You can't really argue when we show you the origin measurements of your globe. They're flat. Well, you can deny them, but then you're denying the origin measurements of your globe. So what are you going to do? You're caught between a rock and a hard place as of 2024. That's why we're on the front foot telling people Earth's measured flat. You don't need to defend the globe position anymore. Its genesis is in flat Earth measurements. So start there. Believe me, they'll attempt to tell you about how their globe works. But if you can immediately bring them back to the genesis measurements of their globe, there's nowhere for them to go. If they deny what you point out to them, they are denying the base premise for their globe belief. If they accept it, they accept that Earth is measured flat, because it is.
Yeah, but Nathan, if you zoom out of Google Earth Maps, you can obviously see that the Earth's spherical.
Yeah, that was the argument this guy's got for me in that members only video that will be released shortly. In as much as he's saying if you zoom out after measuring Earth flat, it's a really big ball. You're like, we don't zoom out, we just measure Earth flat. Now, by the same token, you can say, well, yeah, all of the references for elevation profiles in Google Earth Pro, when used to build stuff, are flat. But when you zoom out, the CGI graphic turns it into, it's like, who cares? The utilization of any reference points in that CGI model called Google Earth are flat. You can measure it. You can show it in the elevation profiles. It's all with respect to sea level, as is all measurements of Earth. So it doesn't matter what any globe believer tells us they believe in, because that's all they've got. Belief based on flat Earth measurements. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Nope, and they never will be.
Yes, because you can't get angles that are curved baselines. They won't be angles anymore. But if you zoom out, yeah, they're still curved. That's the best they've got at the moment. If you zoom out, I can believe that what is flat is not. Like, believe it all you like. You're the one who's measuring it flat, just like me. We all measure Earth flat.
Nathan, I heard the evidence that you can get an elevation angle from a curved surface is that the Earth is a globe. How do you like that one?
It's just like the same sky vacuum. What's your proof that you can have gas pressure without a container? Look at
Yeah.
the sky. What do you mean, look at the sky? Well, I assume that's a vacuum, and the gas isn't filling it. Oh, so your assumption of a second law of thermodynamics violation overcomes this argument, does it? Your assumption that we violate the angle measurement we do measure is your rebuttal, is it? No. It's pathetic, isn't it? It's got to be a curve angle or it wouldn't be a globe. Yeah, it just means it's not a globe. But you'll need it to be a flat elevation angle for you to create the globe, with an equatorial plane and an extended celestial plane at vernal equinox. All of those things are necessitated inside the globe, I might add, with the globe as a glorified protractor. A guy in the pre-show did it. I asked him what latitude was. I think he's still here. JW. I was like, what's latitude? And it's like, in his mind, it's points on a spherical globe. I'm like, no. Those protractor points aren't you turning a sphere around you in the middle of it. They're angle measurements off a flat plane. But for it to function in some semblance of globe-like nature, you put the angles inside the globe at the equatorial plane. Like, we're not inside a globe. The globe is not a protractor. We're on a flat plane measuring angles and then producing globes with those projected angles through a globe that we're standing in. It's just horseshit.
You're being a bit
Even when-
pedantic, Nate.
Say again, Neil?
Even when you get, sorry, mate.
Hold on, one deck. Go ahead, Neil.
It was said that you're being a bit pedantic. So, I don't know.
Don't know what you mean by pedantic. I'm just talking about measurement.
That's what I don't understand. It was very clear to me what you were explaining.
Oh, you've
So I
taken.
understand what you said, mighty much, but my antenna's up.
No, I just figured out what you do. You've taken the hump with a word that the guy in the pre-show used with me. Fair enough, Neil. You're offended on my behalf, it seems. Don't
Well,
worry
when you
about it.
explain something so concise,
Look, when it's on
And
Omi
that's the
TV,
comeback.
it's done for the laughs on Omi TV, right? Me dropping it on someone like a bomb. Yeah? With the guy in the pre-show, he's made his way here on a route that is littered with feast of nonsense. You know, it's fascinating that he's even found his way to us. So when you lay it out in no uncertain terms with someone like that, I'm not doing it to sort of produce a 2-minute video where I get the shock and awe from the guy. It doesn't mean his reaction's going to be any different. He's trying to wrap his head around it. And he even said that. So if he's like, this seems pedantic, well, fair enough. If that's how your brain copes with it in this moment, but he is experiencing the same thing. Sorry to talk about you in the third person. I know you're here, JW. But that's the same reaction I get from the people on Omi when I tell them, in no uncertain terms, off the cuff, that Earth is flat. They're not expecting it at all. This guy is. He's just never had any decent arguments. He's had feast of nonsense and Earth curve edges transposed into disc pies and sky vacuums with boats falling over him. Well, that's the road they want you on, isn't it? How the hell he found his way here, I don't know. Lucky sod, JW. Or unlucky if you were hoping to scramble back up that hill of globe earthness, because you won't. In any event. Hopefully Brian will show up and we'll cover this video. Whilst we were discussing the pre-show, what is AI, right? Sorry, One Deck, I know you were waiting there. I should say I know, I've completely forgotten.
It wasn't anything major. I was talking about latitude. I had one yesterday, and even got the guy to admit that, latitude is measured using elevation angles, which requires horizontal baseline sea level. He openly, he admitted that's the case, and then still went on to say, well, but latitude only works on a globe. So, they can understand how it's being measured, but they still can't give up that globe.
Yeah, well, it's ignorance of the functionality of being inside a globe, with the globe's markings for latitude, those degrees, being the protractor of the globe. It's like you're not in the globe measuring angles. You're on the surface measuring angles. But for them to function in a way that seems like the globe has some relevance, you've got to be inside it at the equatorial plane. Like, why are you inside a globe? Well, because the globe is basically just a glorified protractor. And people have in their mind's eye that when you move a degree in latitude, you've turned the surface of the globe. You're like, no, it's a recession of the angle with respect to a flat plane towards the horizon. That's the angle you're measuring. That's how they've all been measured. That's how all the stars get measured. That's how we map and plot the positions of their GP on the flat surface. Now, yes, you can project those points through a bleeding protractor and call it a globe, but we're not standing on it. You can't get angles from it. It's utterly useless. It's utterly superfluous to requirements in navigation terms. You don't transpose anything into a globe when you're navigating. You just measure angles, draw circles on flat maps. No transposition to globe. That's just there for the belief in being in a globe. I mean, on it when it's a protractor. You're not on a globe. Nobody is. Certainly not measuring from curved surfaces. We're measuring from a flat baseline, sea level. That's how Earth's measured. But the cognitive dissonance is going to kick in. Like I say, Neil, I'm just grateful that the guy's made his way to us. There is no debate when you find your way here, is there? Nothing you say is ever going to get contested, Neil. Because it's statements of fact. What's that? Do I believe in a bleeding ice wall or our father is stuff that I don't know about? I could debate about that, but I'd end up looking like a numpty. When I describe how elevation angles are required to create maps, that's a fact. Earth is measured flat. Nobody's ever going to argue with me about this. They can comprehend it. That's what they can do. But tell me I'm wrong. Well, your globe is based on those bleeding measurements. If I'm wrong, there's no globe. If I'm right, Earth's measured flat. So deal with it. Earth's flat. Facts, not contentious debate points.
There's that rock in the hard place again, huh?
Yeah. Deny your measurements off a flat plane and deny the globe that's made from them. Yeah, it's front foot forward all the way. The only thing that's sort of put a bit of a, I don't even want to say it, scuppered it anyway, because it hasn't. The pitch data is just so good. that it kind of interferes with my 2024 rhetoric of move forward on the front foot. I mean, it is absolutely in the same vein. It's moving forward on the front foot. It's a reference to horizontal. It's nose up with respect to horizontal. It's flat earth proof all the way. It's as good as it gets, in fact. There is no arguing against it as far as I can see. There's no way around it. No pun intended. So, you know, there's a slight air from Brian that he wants to shove spheres in the data. He literally transposed a picture of a sphere on top of the graphs. I'm like, why? Why? He just wants to get in there and show how it doesn't work with a sphere. You know, like old habits die hard, eh? Why do you want to show how it doesn't work with a sphere? It is just flat. There's no getting around it. Showing how they can't get around it isn't necessary. Hope he shows up. Where is he? Where's Brian? I want my segue into props for the audience, going to these videographers and letting them know I sent them. Thank you, audience. 70 people watching, probably the regulars mostly. You're the guys who actually go to the videographers and say, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I just want to acknowledge you all for doing it. Thank you so much. Right, there's going to be no chit-chat. I'm going to have to get into this video without any preamble from Brian, aren't I? Was there anything pressing that we need to discuss before we do?
Nah, I'm sending him a message now to see where the heck he is.
I mean, he doesn't have to.
Talk to,
Come on, housekeeping question.
I've been asking them, but been subtly slipping them in. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve?
Nathan, did you want to talk to a new member? His name is Specs. He's a globe believer. He has some silly claims, but I don't know if you want to go through it with him.
Yeah, that's what we do. Feel free.
Okie dokes. He's right here. Good morning, Specs.
Maybe can answer some of the housekeeping questions.
Let's see, George. Let's go on mute. Let's let Nathan do it. Good morning, Specs, and say hello to the chat.
Good evening. How are you guys?
Very well.
Greetings.
Yeah. Did you have questions? I hear.
Yeah, hold on, guys. Someone else talk. I just want to put some headphones in. Give me a minute. Just let someone else talk.
No, there is no one else to talk. I was going to move to responding to a video spec, so you feel free.
He asked us to hold on. I'm holding on.
Well, he claimed that moon changes phases every day, and therefore Earth is a globe. Maybe that'll get a start.
Moon changes phases, therefore globe.
Yep.
Oh, I'd love to hear how that proves a globe. Sure, he'll tell us all about it. Is it a he or a she?
He's here. I think he's he. All right, Specs, whenever you're ready.
Oh, guys, I'm going to leave and I'll join in a second. Just want to set up my headphones.
We'll be waiting with bated breath.
I was just going to say the same thing. We're all holding our breaths here.
That said, I don't know what to do. Should I start on that video? Because the guy could be half an hour for all I know. Rocking his headphones.
Yeah, just start the video. Come on.
Okay.
He's going to get his notes.
His notes? I don't know. It sounded like he's already made his claim in the chat, right? Mighty Mush.
Sorry, Nathan, what did you just say?
Was it you that suggested that he'd already put his claim forward in the chat or in the Discord?
Not in the chat. He literally just joined the server, and that was one of the few things that he claimed globe with. He said moon changes phases, therefore Earth is a globe.
Okay.
I told him I wasn't going to debate him in a verification room, so I just told him join the live stream and ask your questions. He said, "Oh, great."
Is it a question?
He's on live stream queue. Maybe there's no room in the. There he is.
Yep. Hey, Specs, welcome back, man.
Hello. This is Specs. You guys hear me? Yeah. This is the big one. This.
Wow, this is painful.
That's what she
Yeah.
said.
Hello.
Did you have a claim to make about the moon phases?
Yeah.
proving-
Yeah. I know. I've actually just wanted an explanation because I haven't heard a flat earther explain this one specific point. It's just something I'd like to hear from the flat earth perspective because it's not. I do have a claim, but I also actually would like an explanation if that's all good. Like, I want to hear this, so I haven't heard this one, and I'd like to hear. So, my claim, Nathan,
So
is
instead
this.
of making a claim, you'd like to
Hold
reverse the
on.
burden.
Sensual. Go ahead.
I'd like to hear the flat earth. I'd like to hear the flat earth perspective because I've never heard a perspective for this. I understand that you guys say the sun goes around the earth, correct? Above the earth. If I'm not mistaken.
Nobody's making any claims yet. We're waiting for you to make your claim about the phases proving a globe.
Yes, yeah, no. I'm just so that it appears, if I was to accept the flat Earth model, that
Nobody's claimed
moon
anything.
also goes above the Earth.
Stop.
What?
Nobody's put any claims to you about any models. We're waiting on you to make your claim about phases of the moon. You don't need to cut me off. We're waiting for your claim about phases of the moon proving a globe. Can you do that rather than tell us about some model that we haven't claimed?
Yes. Sorry, I understand. Sorry, the phases of the moon only work because of a globe, and they work because of the angle between the globe, the sun, and the moon, due to the fact that the moon reflects light. And that's how phases of the moon work. I have not heard a flat Earth explanation, so that's why I believe that is one of the best pieces of evidence for the globe, and I'd like to hear a refutation.
Why? How does that prove a globe?
Because of the geometry, it doesn't work on a flat Earth. It's not possible for the moon, if it was a light, or any other explanation, for it to just simply change magically every day for no reason.
Tell me what it doesn't do. How does it prove a globe?
Because the only way it can change every day is because of the specific angle that the moon, which is a sphere, makes of the Earth, and that's how it works on a globe.
Angle?
And
okay, how do you measure?
Yeah, it's about angles. Yeah.
Yeah, the angle.
So Nathan, were you saying something?
Yes, the angle that you're referring to is an angle that's described like on screen now, with respect to the centre of the sphere.
On screen.
In Kepler's orbital mechanics. So Keplerian orbital mechanics utilizes the equatorial plane and a spherical radial value wrapped around that equatorial plane to derive the angle in the orbital motion. So Keplerian orbital motion requires a flat plane of reference to acquire the angle measurements to describe the orbits with. Furthermore, these are orbital angle descriptions from the centre of a globe Earth in that Keplerian model. I won't call it a model.
No, I'm talking
in those Keplerian maths. I didn't invite any response from you, Specs. I hadn't finished talking and I invited no response. I'm stating facts. No question was asked, no response was invited. I mean, shut up. Keplerian orbital motion requires a flat plane of reference. To acquire the angles and describe them with respect to sphericity would infer you are in a globe to describe those angles. Earth must be flat for Keplerian. Are you thick? Are you a dunce? What part of shut up don't you understand? I haven't finished explaining and you're yattering while I'm talking. Dunce! It's the third time. Shut your stupid mouth. You're a dunce. You don't understand Keplerian orbital motion that requires a flat plane of reference. You're a dunce. Shut up, dunce. I'm sick of having to tell you to shut up. Specs, you utter retard. Shut your mouth while I tell you about the flat Earth needed for orbits. Okay, dunce? That wasn't rhetorical. Do you understand what shut up means? No? Has he buggered off because he can't stand anything but yattering through me? What is your malfunction? I'm having to interject answering your stupid question about angles with respect to flat planes to tell you off for not being able to shut your mouth while I explain it to you, Specs. Now I'm asking if you've got a mental disorder. Are you retarded? Why can't you shut up in the middle of me explaining this stuff to you? No, when I ask a direct question and actually invite a response, no, nothing, absolutely nothing. Is it only when I'm explaining stuff to you? Is it only when I'm in the middle of saying stuff that you can talk? What's your malfunction?
Ask your question, please.
What is your mental malfunction, you complete idiot? Why do you insist on yattering through the top of my explanations about angle references to flat planes for Keplerian orbits? Why are you yattering through the top of me?
I'm not. I'm just trying to understand because
You don't need to open your mouth to understand. You shut your stupid mouth and open your friggin' ears, you dunce. You stupid globe-believing dunce. You think your comprehension requires your lips to flap? No. Shut up. Your stupid dunce globe-believing question has its genesis in flat earth angles. The ones you mentioned. You need a flat earth for this, okay? Were there any other questions that you feel the interruption is necessary through the answer of?
No, I'll just listen to the rest of your show and I'll just stay around. And
Could you acknowledge what I actually bleeding said to you?
Yeah, I acknowledge it. I don't agree, but I acknowledge it.
Do you understand what an elevation angle is?
Yes, yes. But,
Define it.
It's the angle, but that you can use to measure. If you have a point from certain, you can have the angle work.
No, you don't know what an elevation angle is. You seem to be yattering again and stuttering and stammering over this definition. It seems like you don't know what an elevation angle is. So you don't agree, but ultimately it's not that you have an agree-disagree situation on your hands as you yatter through me again. Belligerence. You don't understand what an elevation angle is. You couldn't define it. You stuttered and stammered about that definition rather than defining it accurately. You use the word point. There is no point in the definition of elevation angle. You don't know what this is. So you feel the need to disagree with me when you don't understand this stuff. No, you can't even define what it is.
Nathan, I don't understand what elevation angles have.
Yeah, I know. So shut up, sit down, and maybe learn something rather than telling me that you don't agree. Why? Because you're dumb as all shit and don't know what this stuff means? You feel the need to disagree with me, do you? Talk through me while I'm telling you off? No, you're just dunce. That's all it is. You're a dunce. So go and look up what an elevation angle is rather than attempting to define it on a live stream, making yourself look very stupid and belligerent as you yatter through me, based on your ignorance and comprehension. As you're trying to comprehend it, you're thinking out loud while your lips flap. Yeah, you don't know what any of this stuff means. So as the ignorant one that feels you've got need for answers from us, know how your question was based on flat earth measurements of angles represented in hell for you after measuring Earth flat with the lights in the sky. That's what we do with them. We measure their angles off a flat Earth. That's how they're measured to create your Keplerian orbits that you asked about, with the phases of the moon being critical in orbital motion. Something you obviously have no comprehension of, or you'd know the genesis. That would be angle measurements. I've got them flashing up on screen for my audience so they can see exactly what I'm talking about. Go and learn how heliocentrism was created. With a flat Earth. Spoiler alert. Where's Brian? I want to cover a video. Tedious
He
question.
came right out of the gate with the angle. Don't they realize what they're saying?
No, they don't know what they say. Oh, it's the angle. Oh, really? What, off a curved bloody Earth that's used as a protractor projected from the centre of it? I'm thinking, no. I'm thinking you're going to need an equatorial plane for that angle. That'd be a flat Earth, in case you're not following along. There's no getting around it. Earth's measured flat. It just annoys us when we get asked about questions in orbital motion, when the orbital motion is derived from the same flat planes as everything else.
If you're not following along by now, maybe it's time to do something else.
I've got no problem answering the questions. What I do have an objection to is 3 attempts to make the answer coherent, with the person asking chatting through me. Annoys me, as it would annoy anybody. Explain how this carburetor works. Well, the way the carburetor... Oh, I don't think that... Blah, 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 blah. What the bloody hell are you doing? I'm trying to explain it to you. Okay, do you want to explain how the carburetor works? Well, the way the carburetor works... You're an idiot! Blah, 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 blah. What are you doing?
I don't agree. I don't agree with what you tell me how a carburetor works.
Define carburetor. It's a point of so you don't know what this word means, but you're disagreeing with me, the guy trying to show you what it does. Okay, yeah, Dunning-Kruger deflector shields at full blast. Anyway, should we move on to this video? Unless there's any other fundies in the chat that want to tell us about orbital motions. No? Any other pressing news that needs to be dealt with? Just so I can buy some more time for Brian to come. Maybe he will, maybe he won't.
I saw a video today. I think it was from some Christian Facebook reel on 2 moons. So I'd expect that that'll come up again eventually.
Okay. I mean, you realise that over the years, NASA have changed the number of moons that we have periodically. Anyway, if you go to the 90s, they said we've got 10. If you go to the 2000s, they say we've got 100. If you go to the 2010s, they're saying we've got tens of thousands of moons. Were you aware of this?
I'm not sure how many moons we actually have now.
That's NASA. It's on a
No,
sliding scale,
I mean,
according to them.
I am. We have 1 moon.
That would be
Yeah.
my answer.
Yeah, that much seems obvious. But 2 plus 2 could also be 5, so maybe there's more than one of the giant shining moon that we see night after night after night.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I love 1984.
I look at it with my eyes.
Ah, you're standing on your head. Right, let's do this video. If there's nothing else to discuss, we'll get onto it, and hopefully Brian will be inspired to actually join to cover his video. Okay, so this is Math of the World, or Math the World, I should say. And the video is called How Far Out to Sea Can You Actually See? So, as is always the case, please let this videographer know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And as I did say at the beginning of the live stream, kudos to all of you who actually do this. So for whatever reason, my calls to action are effective and people are actually doing this from the live stream audience, which I greatly thank you for. So if you are currently in the live stream audience, there's 107 people currently watching, please let Math the World know that we have covered their video and leave them a polite comment that alludes to the fact that we have responded to what they have said. And hopefully you won't get automatically censored by YouTube, or if you're swearing and being unpolite, then there's a good chance that the videographer themselves will just delete your comment. So don't do that. Just let them know that I sent you. And I'm sure then they'll be appreciative that they're getting an influx of comments. Everybody loves that if they're a YouTube videographer. They like the footfall. They like the views, which you're giving them. So please do that. The idea being that were Math the World to make a response, they'd leave a link to my video, so that obviously people could find their way here from their video. In the same way I'm sending my audience to him or her, hopefully they'd do the same for me in return if they were to make a response. So that's the idea of you popping your way along to Math the World to let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. Hopefully that's given enough time for the audience to have actually done that. And again, I'll do one more call to action. Brian, if you're watching, this is you and your suggestion. I was hoping for a preamble. I'm doing this completely cold. So there we go. We'll just crack on, I guess, in spite of the fact that we don't have Brian attending and it's his suggestion. So we'll do level check on this.
I went on vacation to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, a string of barrier islands a couple 100 miles long in the Atlantic Ocean. While playing on the beach and looking out to sea, I wondered something that many of you may have wondered. How far out to sea can I actually see while...
Why? I mean, why? I'm not being facetious when I say this, right? How many of us have actually done this? Gone to the beach and gone, oh, I wonder how far I can see. Anybody done that?
Well, I was actually where he's talking about a couple of years ago on vacation.
I mean, obviously I've done this since being a flat earther, but prior to that, my memories of it are quite specific, as in looking out at the horizon from an aeroplane, going, I wish I could go higher to see curve, because I can't. Look how flat it all looks. But I don't remember ever doing it prior to being a flat earther at the beach. I remember running in the sand and digging sandcastles and, taking in the great view, but I don't remember ever standing and staring out and pondering what the distance would be. Now, if anybody can just pipe up and say, no, absolutely, that I pondered that greatly before being a flat earther, then I'll say fair enough.
I remember the feeling of looking at the water.
Hold on, just Adam, go ahead. One more time.
Me? Oh, I was going to say, I remember looking out at the water and being like, that is flat. And I guess it just curves. I remember the feeling that I made like a concession, just like, that is flat, and I know that is straight, but I guess it just gets round.
Yeah, exactly. You've pondered the flatness and in contradiction to what you're actually seeing when you're under the misapprehension or on a sphere. But did you look out and go, I wonder how far? The reason I'm saying this is because how far is 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet if you assume that there's a point of dissolution below surface level calculable in earth curve maths if you have a flat surface level to calculate it with. But that inference, otherwise known as the earth curve assumption for boats to fall over, is the only reason you have to ask this question. So prior to flat earth, did anybody look at the horizon and go, I wonder how far that is?
Yes, being at Barmouth Beach, not seeing Ireland, and wondering how far I was off.
Fair enough. There you go.
The horizon.
Now I can move on. Fair enough. There are people who ponder this at the very least. Fine.
standing on the shore. Sometimes it seems so far, but other times when small boats drive out, they seem to disappear quite quickly. So maybe I can't see that far. Or maybe that boat was just pulled under by a crowd.
What do you mean you can't see that far? You can see what you can see. You know, in this case, it's straight off the cuff. Trust the evidence of your own eyes. When you're describing what you can see, you just look and describe what you can see. Not that far, again, is a contemplation that you couldn't have unless the question of flat Earth versus globe Earth was prevalent with Earth curve maths being the subject header. Because when you look out and see something, you just go, you might go, well, that boat's miles away. But if you don't see it, you don't go, oh, if I could see further. Although you have just said that with Ireland. But that is in a fixed location that you could ponder its distance in terms of view. I don't know. I still stand by the idea that this isn't something you'd necessarily contemplate.
Kraken. Well, let's do some math and see how far out to sea we can see, and how much. Farther I can see than my wife, who's much shorter than me. And by the end, we'll see that the Earth really isn't that big.
I don't know about not that big. You can't see that far if you're quite close to the ground, based on a limit to the angle that you have to the object in the distance. But again, this has nothing at all to do with the size, nay, shape of Earth, which is measured flat.
To start, let's draw a diagram and make some simplifying assumptions. Let's assume the Earth is a perfect sphere.
Why? Why would we assume Earth is a sphere? That's a begging the question fallacy. Shout out to Goldie for gifting a membership. Really appreciate the support. Shout out to Billy Philly, who was gifted it.
And that my feet are at the level of the ocean. An ocean...
Sorry, those two terms contradict one another. Let's assume Earth is a sphere and that my feet are at the level of the ocean. Spheres don't have an ocean level. Right, that's the first thing. Secondly, why would you automatically assume that you're standing on a spherical surface? Why would that be an assumption that anybody would make ever? When you're going to make your first description contradict that assumption, feet at level. Oh my God, these people don't know what they're doing. They don't know the words they're saying. Let's assume on a ball, and now let's reference level.
Ocean that fits perfectly under the spherical shape. No fun waves to play in on this boring diagram. Let's picture me standing on the Earth. Now, even though I said we will find the Earth isn't that big, it is much bigger than I am, so I'll draw myself much bigger than I really am for the sake of the diagram. As I look out to the sea as far as I can, my line of sight hits the Earth at this point.
Really? So that line that you're calling tangential to the sphere is derived from surface level. The calculable tangent point on a presupposed sphere in Earth curve maths doesn't give you a single point for a horizon. I already called this. It's not like I've been doing it 10 years or anything. Notice that we are in orthographic view for this maths. So this is the horizon, is it? So this little point that you say is tangential, is it just me, or does that not look anything like what I've put up on the preview thumbnail? It looked like the horizon spanned from left to right, and yet now what we are calculating represented by the side of our own head, the side of a globe Earth, and a horizon that's a single point. Horizons aren't single tangent points. Maybe you need to look up what a horizon is. But this single tangent point is derived from a surface level in Earth curve maths. But you'd need a surface level. You immediately invoked it after telling us that Earth was a perfect sphere by assumption. Yeah? Your feet at sea level? Yeah, that's where you'll derive the tangency point below surface level in these maths that are orthographic. We don't see the side of our own head when we look at a single point called the horizon. How many people think that a horizon is a single point? Oh, well, you do if you're going to infer sphericity, deriving it from surface level, with a point of tangency below surface level on a dingleberry.
The line of sight is what is called a tangent line to the circle. This segment is the distance I can see out to sea.
No, it isn't. You don't see the side of your own head when you're looking out to sea, like in your diagram. That's not how we see things, my friend. You think your eyeballs give you a view of the side of your own head? No, this is Earth curve mathematics. Maybe we'll see the surface level derivable for this calculation, but you're only describing the point of tangency after it's mathematically derived from surface level, like with your feet, like you suggested right at the beginning, contradicting your perfect sphere assumption.
How can we find this distance? Well, let's start by using some things we know about the geometry of the situation. One of the theorems many students are taught in geometry is that a radius of a circle intersects a tangent line at 90 degrees.
Where'd you get the radius from? I know, that's from flat Earth also. So this assumption of radius would need justifying with a measurement, wouldn't it? It's just all of them are flat Earth measurements.
So this radius segment and this segment intersect at 90 degrees.
It's a circle.
Yeah.
You mentioned a circle to the...
Yeah, it's taking a circle to the centre of hell for its point of tangency. Yeah? Like in Earth
It's
curve
confusing
maths.
2D and
Earth curve
3D. A circle and a sphere. Two different things.
Yeah. Well, on screen he's got a circle and he's deriving an angle from hell. All seem familiar?
Well, connecting these 2 points gets us a right triangle, and we have another powerful theorem about the side lengths
No, you don't.
of a right triangle, the Pythagorean theorem, We can find these two distances without using the Pythagorean theorem. I looked up the radius of the Earth and found it's about 6,300.
You looked it up? Oh, so Google drilled to the centre of Earth. There is no centre of Earth. That value is derived from flat Earth measurements, my friend.
178.1 kilometers. So that is this leg of the triangle. And the length of the hypotenuse is the radius of the Earth plus the height of my eyes, which are about 1.8 meters high.
How'd you get the height? Oh, it would be your height above sea level. The surface level that your feet were at. Your 1.8 meters is a height above the surface level that you'll absolutely require. Your differential for your tangent is calculated from eye level at 1.8 meters. From surface level, it's a height of eye measurement off the surface level. So you're going to need surface level with a dingleberry earth dangling beneath it, and eye level parallel with it to derive this tangent point that will be below surface level. Now, the radial value he's inferred by assumption that defies the surface level his feet were at is also calculated by way of angle measurements to stars. That's how you get it.
Using the
Unless you want to use the Al-Biruni method, in which case you'd be figuring out how high a mountain is by measuring it off a flat plane, and then going up it and deriving your dip calculation to the surface level when you're at altitude measured from surface level that's flat. Al-Biruni also gives you a radial value based on flat Earth measurements, just in case you wanted to infer that it isn't necessarily the minimum elevation to Polaris. Either or, you'll need a flat plane for radial values of sphere Earths that don't exist, and won't give you points of tangency when you need surface level for your height of eye above it, and parallel eye level for the dip to the tangent point below surface level in Earth curve maths. So there's quite a few flat Earth prerequisites in all of this.
Pythagorean theorem and being careful to convert my eye height to kilometers gets us
Your eye height off the surface level. Yeah, you'll need a surface level for that eye height though, won't you? You'll need the flat Earth for that.
Nathan,
value.
his radius value is not to the center of the Earth. It's a radius to Polaris ground position. It's a flat Earth radius. It's a circle, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, he could also infer Al-Biruni. I'll drop both in just in case he says, no, I'm not taking circles of equal elevation to infer radial sphericity. I'm taking Al-Biruni's height of eye above surface level when calculating with trig the height of a mountain off a flat Earth. So I can say how much the surface level I just measured off a flat Earth when I go up it and get my height with respect to it has dipped when I compare it to a parallel eye level. So if I've got parallel eye level and parallel surface level, I can tell you how big the radial value of a surface that then bends is, says Al-Biruni. Yeah, you're going to need a flat Earth for all of this. Earth's measured flat.
Of about 4.8 kilometers, or just under 3 miles.
What, linear flat distances in kilometres and miles? I'm thinking, no, you'll need a flat Earth for those linear distances that don't curve.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. You seem to be using quite a few flat Earth concepts in this claim to be derivation of points below surface level at tangency based on heights measured from surface level with eye level parallel with surface level. What are you doing, man? You've got a flat Earth in every single aspect of this.
That really isn't very far. Still, it isn't something I could swim without drowning.
Sorry, far. We're an orthographic view. Why are you calculating distances?
But I think many people would guess their line of sight is farther.
Line of sight, like not bending.
Now, how about my wife? She's much shorter than I am, almost by a foot, so her eyes are maybe 26 centimeters lower than mine. Changing the eye height in our expression shows that my wife can only see about 4.43 kilometers.
Well, it's almost like it's 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as per the Earth curve maths derived from surface level. Yeah, we're way ahead of you, buddy.
He also said lower. That means that him and his wife, they share the same baseline for the height.
Correct. Yeah, surface level.
I see.
Yeah, he's giving their height above sea level, isn't he? Level required for the height of eye.
So I have more than 1/3 of a kilometer more of ocean in my view.
Linear flat distance.
It is a good thing I hadn't done the math before our vacation. I don't think it would have gone over well to tell my wife I had an 8.35% better view of the ocean than she does. Well, it's actually higher than...
Sorry, what was that picture? Why is it that your picture... Why isn't it showing? Why isn't this got an orthographic view of her own head? What's going on? This looks very much like the left to right horizon in your original picture. It's almost like you're a charlatan doing a bait and switch. So you're calculating this line we'd call the horizon. But yet it's not a line in your diagrammatical example. It's a single point. Not representative of a horizon at all. Not meeting the definition of a horizon at all.
Does. Well, it's actually higher than that. We're basically looking at a semicircle of the ocean, and the area of the ocean I can see is 17.4% larger than the area she can see. So I better stop before someone tells my wife. Now, you may not have realized it, but we've just learned that the Earth really isn't that big.
No, we didn't learn jack. What we did was see you derive distance to geometric horizon tangent point based on a calculation that derived that point from surface level and eye level. Orthographically. Like a bait and switch. Like a charlatan mathematician that's saying this is a horizon and then saying a horizon completely defies its own definition because it's now a single point of tangency. It's not a horizon. You're a liar. We didn't see the side of our own head in any of the pictures of the horizon, but yet there it is in your Earth curve math, so you can hijack perspective.
If two people
Well,
of
the
average
horizon by
height
definition
are more
is
than 10
horizontal.
kilometers apart on a smooth spherical...
Not according to him, it's a single point of tangency, according to him in orthographic view. Charlatan mathematician, bait and switch.
So not a horizon then?
No, just an orthographic bait and switch by a charlatan mathematician who's lying to his wife and himself by the sounds of things.
Earth, they wouldn't be able to see each other at all. But 10 kilometers, or 6 miles...
Flat Earth distances, linear in nature.
Isn't real...
Why are we showing this on a flat map with linear distances? Has it just got to use a bit of flat Earth somewhere along the line for the linear distances to make sense? Yeah? Don't use this. You know, use something with globe and curve and non-linear distances. Don't use miles or kilometers. What are you doing? Don't use flat Earth stuff. Get your own distances.
really that far. In the valley where I live, we have a large lake called Utah Lake. It's more than 6 miles across in most places, and much more than that in length. So I don't have to go to the ocean. If my wife and I are walking around the shore of Utah Lake on opposite sides, then we would rarely be able to see each other, because we would each be dipped under the other's horizon.
Sorry, hashtag shit shrinks, Dumbo. So, do you think that your wife's visible forever, but for the fact that Earth curve gets in the way when you derive it from surface level? Yeah, you'll need a flat Earth for the orthographic maths that infers that the only reason you can't see your wife is because she's behind a hill below surface level.
Nathan.
She's too small. Things get smaller in the distance. Isn't it obvious? No, it's only because Earth curve's blocked his view of her. Go on, Neil.
I don't think he's heard about the black swan. He might be in the dark a little bit.
Fine, we'll debunk this mathematics. If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to the horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Distance to horizon in the black swan image is beyond those geometric limitations at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Therefore, the horizon is not Earth curve, and the Earth is not a sphere. We debunked Earth curve geometry. That's the mathematics this guy's inferring in orthographic view in 2020. Black swan.
Basically, his wife was too far away to see.
So see, the Earth isn't really that big, because you don't have to go very far from someone before they can be lost over the horizon.
Over the horizon? Really? So things don't get too small to see? It's only because the horizon gets in the way, dum-dum. No, that's because your orthographic view removes perspective. So now in this mathematician's mind, the only reason he doesn't see his wife is because Earth curve hills that are derived from flat Earth measurements is in the way, in an orthographic view. No, she's just too small.
Horizon. If I were to ask you how far out into the ocean you could see when staring at the horizon,
But this doesn't look like a point of tangency, mate. Back to your bait and switch, right? How far or how small? If this wave here looks really big, but it's just breaking on the shore, yet this wave out in the distance is probably massive, but very far away. Yeah? This isn't that complicated. Meanwhile, in an orthographic representation, this horizon's just a point of tangency. There's nothing to see here. It's just a single point. And yes, you do see the side of your own head. Where's the side of our own head in this image? Oh, it wouldn't exist in a perspective view. But obviously we don't need perspective when we're talking about Earth curve maths. We can see the side of our own head. That's perfectly legit. Right? Bait and switch charlatanism from Math the World.
would you have guessed around 5 kilometers or 3 miles? My hunch is most people would have guessed that they could see much further. How big would our planet need to be so that we could see much further? Say maybe 10 kilometers or about 6 miles. How big would the Earth be then? This is pretty easy mathematically. We just use our same Pythagorean equation as before, only now we have different knowns and different unknowns. We know that this leg is 10 kilometers, and instead we want to know the length of this leg, which is the...
A leg hovering in space that's not with respect to the surface, that's curving at a greater distance? What? How do you know this leg? What are you going to use? Oh, we're going to use observer height again. Oh, we're back into the same exact maths. We're just changing the R value. Where'd you get that? Oh, you'd need to derive an R value first, wouldn't you? You'd need some measurements for that. They'll be with respect to a flat plane, though.
the radius of the Earth, and we will label x. That means our hypotenuse is x plus 0.0018, and solving for x gives us a radius of almost 28,000 kilometers. Just in doubling our line of sight, our Earth...
Line of sight again. Hey, QE.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
I hear on the grapevine that you're having a show today. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Tell us all about it. The audience is completely unaware of this fact.
I just woke up. Not that excited just yet. It's crikey, creaky, you're a crackhead. There you go.
Is it 7 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Central Standard?
Why are you asking me questions?
So I can promote your show. Be Here or Be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel for Creaky Crackhead. 7 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Central Standard, only on YouTube. Globeheads may not apply. Terms and conditions apply.
It's 1 p.m. US Central, 7 p.m. UK, so you got it.
Well, I said. I got it right. 113 people watching. I expect to see you all there in a few hours' time. Been listening along to Math the World Charlatanism? It's old stuff. Earth curve math.
I'm looking at one of your slides. Did he say horizon?
He did.
How can you have a horizon on a globe dart?
You
Oh
can't.
dear.
What's... I was about to say, what's the slope intercept formula? What's the sloper dope? Buggered that up completely.
Yeah, you did. You can't have horizons on globe darts. I'm sorry. You could just quit right now. It's already over. You already probably train wrecked himself earlier than that, though. Most likely.
It's nice to be able to comprehensively pull this apart, right? I'm no mathematician. And if this guy was to challenge me in almost any other area of mathematics, he would get the best of me very quickly. Yeah? Because I'm no mathematician. However, because it's a subject matter that I'm so familiar with, I can outshine a mathematician. Why? Well, because it's Earth curve maths. No other reason. Something I've focused on for 7 years is something I'm going to be familiar with and be able to undo any mathematician on. Right? I would... this isn't me bragging. I would expect any panel member to be able to do the same. So this isn't like, look how great I am. Look how great we are, having dealt with it for 7 years. Because we've had to learn the intricacies of Earth curve mathematics, pull them apart at their foundation, and in the last few years show how they have their origins in flat Earth measurements. So it's a long road to be able to do this. And, you know, I'm sure this guy's a very good mathematician. He's doing a reasonable job of explaining the begging the question fallacy of Earth curve mathematics. He just hasn't recognised the bait and switch. So therefore, it's a bit unreasonable for me to call him a mathematical charlatan. That's a bit of a mouthful. But it is. That's what it is. It's not his mathematical charlatanism. Although by doing it, he does have to take ownership of it. It is now his. So, you know, you could call it either way in terms of my harshness towards him. But more realistically, the chances are he just doesn't know. He hasn't seen that when you take a claim to be Earth curve view in orthographic representation, it's excluding perspective. In fact, it's taking perspective and calling it Earth curve when you actually break down what the maths really does. But he doesn't know that. He doesn't recognise that his descriptions of directions and linear distances in miles or kilometres are with respect to a plane. He doesn't recognise that the mathematics that utilises surface level and heights above it is with respect to a horizontal plane, a flat Earth. He doesn't recognise these things. He's told that it's a justification for a globe Earth, and as he parrots it off mathematically, in a reasonably coherent way, nothing's setting off alarm bells for him. So, whether or not us telling him that this should set off alarm bells, or by contrast me calling him a mathematical charlatan, you know, actually triggers him to do anything about it or recognise the error, is irrelevant. It's useful as a tool for the audience. However, I would like some YouTube love with a YouTube hat on. So please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment if you are watching this live, as there's 112 of you currently watching. So please leave him a polite comment and just let him know that we've responded to his video. And if he does happen to listen to this bit, I'm using you as a teaching tool. I have nothing against you and don't frankly care if you are a mathematical charlatan. You do know that you're doing this bait and switch with the orthographic representation of Earth curve maths when you describe things getting too small to see and call it an Earth curve hill. Debunked in 2020 by the Black Swan. But please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment. There is a link going by in the live stream chat. The hope being he'd put a link to my video if he was to do a response. Maybe, chance would be a fine thing, he'd do a response and say, I can't believe it, I didn't realise that when I put the world in orthographic view and show the side of my own head and use surface level, I'm actually just measuring a flat Earth and claiming that Earth curves below the surface in orthographic where there's no perspective. But yeah, hopefully a few of you will actually leave him a comment and he'll toddle along and give us his reaction like yesterday's videographer with ha 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 ha. Maybe this mathematician's got a bit more about him. We shall see. Hopefully that's given enough people time to actually toddle along. We'll do a couple more minutes as that's all there is left on this video, and then we will round out this live stream and ask people to stay tuned if they're watching on an after show.
Earth just became the size of Uranus, more than 63 times the volume of Earth. What if we only...
Sorry, these volumes of gas giants in sky vacuums are not only a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. Gases don't clump together in vacuums, they disperse into them. Furthermore, the Keplerian and Huygens-based extrapolations of distance are also, as the guy found out at the beginning of this live stream, flat Earth measurement based in origin. So you're not going to give me distances.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a bit pedantic, but he said the Earth is a side of Uranus.
Yeah, I almost chuckled. I just didn't want it to ruin that moment of Earth being flat for the measurements, but Uranus is also very funny.
added 1 more kilometer, so instead of 5 kilometers, it was 6. Then our radius increases from 6,378 to about 10,000 kilometers, all from just 1 added kilometer of sight. This got me wondering about more space-related questions. If you can see 10 kilometers on Uranus, how far is the line of sight on the Sun?
What, in an orthographic view with no perspective? Like you just showed it twice? I mean, again, you're describing the sizes of things that are based on Huygens extrapolations, based on Keplerian elliptical orbital motion in a Copernican maths that you've reified into existence, and then pondered how far you could see in an orthographic view when standing on the surface of gas giants not expanding into vacuums in violation of natural law. It's a pathetic fantasy world that you live in, my friend. You didn't even know it until now.
Granted, your eyeballs don't melt out of their sockets first, of course. Doing some quick math gives us just over 50 kilometers, or about 31 miles.
Sorry, what, with no perspective, and by a derivation that's come from Huygens, Why would you do this? You don't know how big the sun is. Taking orbital motion and inferring it with a scale that Huygens gives you isn't going to tell you the size of the sun, but Erie is calculating the radial value of the sun to extrapolate perspective exclusive Earth curve, effectively, hill obstructions. Let's say it like it actually is now. I've described it as Earth curve obstructions, so people are familiar with what I'm talking about. On screen, he's got a sun curve obstruction in orthographic view. How pathetic. You'll need Huygens' assumption that Venus has the same R value as Earth when measuring Earth flat to give you a radial value to extrapolate out by Huygens in Keplerian motion. Also based with a flat Earth angle at its origin. I mean, this is beyond pathetic when you know the genesis of all of these extrapolations, isn't it? Orthographic sun curve. Oh my God.
That's about the width of the Great Salt Lake here in Utah, or the distance between.
Yeah, George.
It has to describe the angular size of the sun in respect to the horizontal plane. It's using a horizontal plane in all of its descriptions. We all know spheres that don't have horizontal planes. What's he talking about?
Spot on. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if he's using the observer's height in feet from sea level on Earth or an orthographic sea level, sun level, plasma sea level. What are you babbling about? It's just so nonsensical. But he will need a flat plane for it, George. You're absolutely correct. They all have their origins in flat Earth.
Between Baltimore and Washington, D.C.
Or flat sun in that case, but it's so bloody absurd.
Tell us in the comments what landmarks near you are about the same distance. So now we know why these boats disappear.
I don't know.
He said landmarks. Well, the landmarks are pinpoint with ground position, aren't they, on the Cartesian system?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you'll need a flat Earth for that too.
So fast over the horizon.
Why is it that when you show us how the world is observed, you've got a horizon that's moving from left to right in a horizontal fashion exactly as it would be defined? But yet when you do your Earth curve maths or sun curve maths, that horizon becomes a single point of tangency. I mean, it makes no sense. You'd have to have a flat plane to derive the Dingleberry sun or Earth below a plane of reference to give you these mathematics. But you are obviously unaware of that math, the world. Hopefully a few of you have let him know that I've sent you along.
It's not the Kraken. Our Earth just really isn't.
Sorry. You keep on whistling past this. He keeps on saying horizon. I say again, how do you have a horizon on a globe tard?
You don't.
Right.
Yeah, the horizon by definition is horizontal. Can't have a horizontal plane on a sphere again.
Isn't that big. Or maybe we're relatively small compared to Earth. Just don't tell my wife that. She doesn't like short jokes. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share our videos.
Alternatively, let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Your video did get shared, Math the World. Thank you very much. It's not like we haven't covered it before, but it's always nice to hear a new voice, if nothing else. So jolly good. Yeah, maybe you'll do a response video. You never know your luck. We all enjoy that. Thanks, Brian. Not that you even showed up for it.
I'm tired of them saying the word horizon. I'm with QE.
Yeah, stop using these flat earth words. How dare you? Any more for any more?
It was nice. Well, it was nice to see the flat and the circle around it, and someone was just like that. In the chat, TB, he was like, "Those are so many flat Earth measurements," and I was like, "It's like you just said, Nathan. It really is like 2 + 2 = 5. It's like you're looking at the flat, and they're looking at this round thing around it, and you're like, but that's what we're on, and they're like, well, that's what we're on, and it's pretty glaring."
Yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's right.
If that's what we're on, then give us the measurements of the globe. Oh, they would be flat Earth measurements. I'm sorry.
Precisely.
Yeah, they'll give you measurements of a circle.
Yeah, with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming Streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show. If you're watching live, be sure to tune in to QE Live, which will be later on at 7 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central Standard. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. If you are watching live, this is where we bid you farewell, though. So a massive thank you to all of you gifted memberships. Smash the super chat, hit me up on PayPal and Ko-Fi and all that good stuff. Once again, I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.